What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today, I was supposed to release the interview that I did with Caleb Pinkett, a Hollywood producer. I went to a show. He was kind enough to allow me into his home, and we had a good interview. And everything's ready. I just need to do the thumbnail. I just finished editing today. I think I got everything. Hopefully, you guys are gonna enjoy that. And then I got to thinking, man, I'm gonna put that video out tomorrow because the video I'm doing right now is the video I want to do right now. Today is my homeboy, my road dog, my brother, Chino, rest in peace. Today is his birthday. He would have been 48 years old today. 1 second. All right, my bad. Again, he would have been 48 years old today. We lost him a year ago. Okay. And so Chino and I go way back, right? I love his family. His family loves me. They've never been judgmental towards me. Chino was with me when I caught my case. Chino was with me every day. When I was out that last time in 1993, Chino and I were together every single day. We went everywhere together. There were only a handful of days where I had to go do something or he had to go do something and I couldn't be there and he couldn't be there. Right? Chino was one of the very few of my crimies that was interviewed, that was called in to the police station that didn't fucking snitch on me, on my case. And that's a cold reality. You know, I'm a very strong proponent of, as far as my neighborhood, West Side business is West Side business, period. Right? But today, I feel like there's a message in this. So I'm just going to talk. I don't know what I'm going to talk about exactly. I just know I'm going to talk about Chino, and we're going to talk about what happened and how things fucking go. Okay. So I caught my case, right? Chino was with me. Chino didn't make it up to where it ended because Chino was a huge dude. He couldn't keep up, you know. When I mean huge, I don't mean like he was sloppy fat. No, he was just a big ass dude. And, I was very fast and, I was determined that night when these guys came and started shit and then decided to run after they reached for their weapons and we got ours out faster. And they took off running and I was pissed, so Chino wasn't there at the very end where the murder actually occurred. But he, like everyone else, knew what happened that night, who did what. And Chino, like I said, was one of the few that chose to keep his damn mouth shut. Now, I've mentioned it before. In my neighborhood, I started my own clique, okay? And so I'm in the county jail, right? And I called Chino's pad a few times. And I remember one of the times that I called, and I could tell there was some hesitancy in his voice, right? And I was like, what's up? What's going on? And he says, you know what? I want to ask you a question. And I pretty much knew what the question was going to be, right? I said, what's up? He said, look, homie, you started our clique, fool. And all these dudes told on you, eh? Like in the neighborhood, you're somebody that's very well respected. And if they're willing to fucking tell on you, what the fuck are they willing to do to me? And he said, so I wanted to ask you for permission. He goes, I don't give a fuck what anybody else has to say. I'm asking you, is it cool if I don't bang the neighborhood no more? I said, absolutely. Do your thing, homie. I said, and if anybody fucks with you, get at me. Let me know. Send a message. However you got to do it. But let me know. And I'm going to tell them, you're still my dog. You're still my road dog. But you're going to do your thing with your family, right? He was like, all right, cool. I think I called one more time, and they were like, hey, these phone calls are kind of expensive. We were poor on the West. And I was like, I got you. Don't even trip. Never called again. Now, what I didn't know, there are a lot of things that I didn't know. Okay. And on some of this, I need to be very sensitive because I don't want people in his family feeling hurt. Right. So I'm just going to say this. After that conversation, and let me start with this. While I was incarcerated, I honestly didn't really keep in contact with people on the streets. There were a couple of my homeboys that got at me, and every time they got at me, it was because they knew what I was doing, what I was dabbling in behind the walls, and it was always because they needed a favor. Imagine that. They're on the streets, and they need a favor from me. They need backing of some sort, right? But they ain't done shit for me. So I didn't pay attention to what was happening on the streets. I didn't give a fuck about the streets. I knew back then, you got a life sentence in California, you are going to die in prison, period, right? So that was my mindset. Fuck whatever's going on outside of any of these walls, because what's going on around me right now is all that matters, and it's very serious. So I didn't know the things that were going on. It wasn't until I got out that I fucking heard about it, and I was disappointed. So Chino got deeply into the church. Chino became a Christian. And when I heard that he did that after I got out, I was like, oh, that's feed, man, but let me walk you down this memory. So Chino got heavily involved in the church, and the fact that we did what we did was one thing that bothered him, but the fact that I was gone really affected him because, again, we were like brothers. We always said we were brothers, like when I did the Who Was Really a Victim video, right? I was just talking about this last night with one of my homeboys from the neighborhood that grew up with me and Chino. And he was like, it really fucked me up because he went on the straight and narrow after my case. He got into football, became a very good football player, high school football player. And he told me, what happened to you really opened my eyes. They came to the neighborhood. They came to put in work. You Vatos won. And you went away for a fucking life sentence. But that's the game. I needed that. I tell people all the time, I needed to do all that time to become the man that I am now. But I understand what they were saying too is, they came wanting pedo, but you know what? The reality is the person that I was back then, the way that I saw things, the way that I believed, I would have just got picked up for another hot one maybe a few months after or something. You know what I mean? Like that's who I was. That's the reality. But Chino got involved in the church and was doing great things. Chino also became a glazer. Those are the guys that when they're doing construction, those are the guys that put all the glass in. Chino was making, back in the days, man, this dude was making 40, 50, 60 bucks an hour, depending on the job. He's a union guy doing big things. All that's great. All of that I'm proud of. Now, here comes the disappointing part. One of the vatos that ratted on me, see, I never say their names. They know who they are, especially the main one. He knows who he is. He watches my channel. Maybe he doesn't anymore because he tried to reach out to me. I let bygones be bygones. If he's happy with what he did, if he's okay with it, fine. But he twisted the narrative. I never knew this. He twisted the narrative that Chino was the one that told on me. Pushed it around the neighborhood. Chino would still go everywhere in the neighborhood. Like what? Right? never once told me, hey, this dude over here is throwing his jacket on me. I never knew that until I got out. Matter of fact, I didn't know that until almost 4 years after I got out. And I was like, what? I told you, if anything ever comes up in the neighborhood, get at me. He's like, man, I didn't care, homie. Like, fuck them. Chino he had conflicts with certain people in the neighborhood. I think to this very day, there's probably some people, dummies, that believe it. And what's crazy is I never pushed the paperwork on people. The paperwork, the police reports, everything that I had, because I told people, like some of the homies would be like in the county were like, hey, so what really happened? I was like, listen, don't ask unless you're willing to do it. And 9 times out of 10, oh, no, hey, I was just because I heard it. Yeah, that's what I thought. But a couple people did grab the paperwork from me. One of them actually had the paperwork, went to Westside Park, ran into the dude and said, hey, what's going on with you and Homeboy? And he said, the dude that really is the rat said, oh, no, that was a misunderstanding. He said, oh, okay, yeah, I was just wondering. Fool, you had the paperwork. So this dude gets to run around. This dude felt comfortable and welcome everywhere. And Chino, my brother, had people pointing fingers and accusing him. He still went everywhere. Was cracking, right? Because they knew, man. They were just, I feel like they just didn't want to handle the big guy, the other big guy, you know. That's a trip to me. But anyways, so Chino, stayed out here doing things. He created a family, beautiful children. But human beings being human beings, we all have failures and weaknesses in our flesh, right? And for whatever reason, that's not for me to discuss or even guess at. That first marriage, unfortunately, didn't pan out, and it really affected Chino, And but he kept trying. He had a dream of what he wanted as far as a family life and what he wanted to provide. And he later got involved in a second relationship. And this relationship, I wish I would have been out, man. I'm trying to be very guarded because there's children involved. Chino has 5 kids that he left behind that he loved very much. But life, for whatever reason, I couldn't comprehend it when I finally got back in Chino's life out here and got around his family, and learned about the tragedies, I would talk to Chino and I would tell him, like, homie, you can get back on your feet. But the sadness within him was drowning him, is the bottom line. That's like the only way I could explain it. He was trying to chase something that was never going to be a reality. And those of us that know Chino, that know exactly what I'm talking about, and I apologize, I'm making a video. This is, I'm going to be honest, this is more for me and the family probably, Those of us that saw what was happening with Chino, and at the end he got very sick and he passed away. And I think as he knew he was sick, because he didn't tell us that he was sick, I think he kind of felt like maybe death is more peaceful than life, than living, because he was heartbroken, and he was a big dude, strong dude. And, I think people always saw that in him. Didn't understand how much he was hurting and how he couldn't get out of it. No matter what I or his family would try to do to help him realize who he is rather than who he thought he had become. No matter what, man, it was the sadness just took over, And like I said, I think at the end, well, towards the end, when he knew he was sick and he knew it was serious and he didn't tell us, again, I think he felt maybe death was more peaceful than life. But I can tell you, anybody that's struggling with the same thing, I'm going to tell you right now, at the very end, when death came for him, he fought. He didn't want to go. And it's sad, man. It's sad that he would have been 48 today and he's already been gone a year. So we love you, Chino. We miss you. People always tell me, hey, in your video, I saw an orb in your video, or I saw a spot of light. I know it's Chino. It's Chino and my mom, So don't forget, man, when they pass, they're still with us. They're watching us. And I always tell the family, when they're like, I wonder if he's mad or I wonder if he's sad. I honestly believe that when we pass the earthly inadequacies as far as anger and sadness and hate, those things don't follow us to wherever we go next. Those things are of the earth, of the flesh. When we leave this shell, we get back to our pure self. And they watch us and they want the best for us. So anyways, that's my video for today. Again, this is going to be one of those that's going to get to who it needs to get to. So thank you guys for watching this one. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.